verse number 13 and 14. Pancetani mahabaho karanani nibodhame Sankhye kritante proktani Siddhaye sarva karmanam Adhishthanam tatha karta Karanancha prathak vidham Vividhascha prathak cheshtaha Daivam chaivatra panchamam. So Bhagavan says there are these three types of tyaga: sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. Tamasic is when we give up our duties out of delusion, duties of yajna, dana, tapa. Rajasic, when again we give up our duties, but the reasons are different. Because it is painful or full of trouble, so better to run away from duties. But sattvic tyaga is to perform, fulfill all our responsibilities, do our duties well, but without attachment to the action as well as the results of action. When one attains this attitude, then slowly and steadily the mind becomes pure, and in that pure, calm, peaceful mind, one gains the knowledge or recognition of our own self as we are. Just as when the mirror becomes very clean, then we can see our face very clearly. When the enough light and everything is there, we look into the mirror and we see our face very clearly. In the same way, when the mind, which is like a mirror, becomes absolutely still and pure, then we are able to recognize, see our real face, our inner self. And such a person is called an enlightened person, becomes free from the concept of good and bad also. So, na dveshti akushalam karma. Such a person doesn't hate bad karmas, nor does he get attached to good karmas, because he becomes free of the sense of doership. So, the world goes on. There is no sense of doership in a realized master. But for others who are attached to the body and have a sense of doership, for them it is not possible to give up all actions. So, in order to become free from this action, we have to perform them without attachment to the action as well as the result of action. Bhagavan analyzes how action happens, and through this analysis it will be possible for us to become free from the sense of doership. When action happens, exactly what are the factors involved which go to make the action possible? Here when we use the word karma, is a very technical term. It is not just kriya, it is not what we see in the world, the movement of the fan and all, that is just outer kriya. But action involves an actor also, a person who is the doer. So doership is also involved in an action. So it's a technical term, and Bhagavan says there are 5 important factors which makes action possible for a human being. So the first factor is our body. Body is the adhishthan, the place, the center from which all the action is happening. So adhishthan, tatha karta, and the consciousness identifying with this body, identifying with the various equipments like the mind, the intellect, the senses. So there is an identification with this, and it therefore because of this identification they function. So there is this sense of doership, which we also know as ego, karta bhavana, that I am the doer. So that karta is also an important factor. Then karanam. Karanam are all the instruments with which action is possible. So those are the 5 organs of action, 5 organs of perception, the mind, the intellect. These 12 items are the karanam, the instruments with which action happens. But these instruments are there, they are helpless without the life force functioning through them. So that life force, what we call the pranas, which activates these instruments, is also another important factor for action to happen. And the 5th factor is called daiva. So daiva is an X factor, in the sense factor which is external to this body, which is there in this totality, which makes an action possible. Even walking is not possible without the help of the earth. The earth keeps us glued to itself, therefore we can walk. So there are these external factors. The light which we get from the sun is required for us to see. We might have good eyes, but if there is no light, we cannot see. So those external factors which are many, which includes the totality, is indicated here by the term daiva. So daivam cha, so X factor. So we cannot claim the ownership of all this action, that daiva is also involved. And how much percentage of all these factors are there, it differs. So all 5 play an important role for action to happen. So adhishthanam tatha karta karanam cha prithak vidham. And this is a very scientific analysis of the whole thing. Whenever Bhagwan is speaking here, he speaks from a very scientific or very rational standpoint. So this, we consider the spirituality as science only. It's called Shastra. Shastra means science. Idam guhyatamam shastram. In the 15th chapter also we saw that this Bhagavad Gita is called the secret science, the top secret science. So it's also science. Science means it's very logical, rational, and it can be, what is said can be repeated. In the sense, it is not one individual's experience. One can, following the same path, we can also have the same experience. Just like in science, if it is said that you do this experiment, you will get this result. Whether it is done here in one laboratory or other laboratory, the result will be same. Then it is a proper law, proper scientific experiment. In the same way, the path which is shown here, Bhagavan says you follow it and you will reach this point of enlightenment, which is same for all. So, but one has to follow the path. We cannot say that, no, first bring Atma in a test tube and then only I will be convinced after putting litmus paper into it. So that is not possible. So having said these 5 causes for action to happen, Bhagavan now continues. In the 15th verse he says, Sharira vang mano bhiryat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchayate tasya hetavah sharira vang mano bhiryat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va Whatever karma, whatever actions are performed by this human being, Naraha. Nara is this human. Bhagavan talks about all of us. So whatever actions are performed by this human being, whether those actions are physical, whether those actions are verbal, or those actions are at the level of mind. Sharira, Vang, Mano, Bihi. With the body, with the speech, or with the mind, whatever actions are performed, whether they are nyayam, whether they are good action, dharmic action, va viparitam va, or they are opposite to dharma, adharma, paradharma, adharma. Such actions also, Bhagavan says, for them also these are the 5 causes. Pancha ete tasya hetavaha, which were mentioned before. These 5 are responsible for all actions to happen, whether those actions are physical, at the level of speech, or at the level of mind. See, for a human being, these are the 3 levels at which one acts. Predominantly, that way all the faculties, everything is involved in all actions. But there are certain actions which we can notice only at the outer external physical level. For example, all of you are sitting here, only physical level, whatever you do is noticed from here. The scratching you do, the mobile you check, and whatever you do, one can see from here. So your actions, what I can see, are the physical actions which are performed. But those actions which I can hear are the verbal actions which you can perform. And that is a very important, powerful, a tool or the ability which a human being has got, this verbal action. I don't know how much it is developed in other beings, but in human beings it is very well developed. We have, I don't know how many languages are there in our whole world. In India itself, there are so many languages. And every few kilometers, you find a language changes also. We have developed this art of communicating through our speech. And there are words for every little thing of this world, depending on how subtle we are as humanity, or how subtle we are as a community. We have created words to convey certain things, and which we are losing when we forget our regional language. With those language goes all our learning, all our samskar, all the teaching of our ancestors, which is conveyed through words. See, for example, in Sanskrit, to convey, to tell, to say, or the name for Surya, so many names are there. Ravi and Anshuman and Bhaskara and Dinakara, and so many are there. But in English, there is only one, sun. So you may say, no, it is simple, so you don't have to remember all these 12 names or so many names. But all these names convey different aspect of that wonderful object or wonderful phenomena which we call sun. So Dinakar means one who creates a day. One who creates day. So in all languages we have many words to convey. The words have the ability to convey my emotions, have the ability to convey my thoughts, my ideas. Words can actually transform our life. In fact, all these scriptures are words only. And the Mahatmas use these words and they can transform our life. Today only I was giving a talk in one management school, school of inspired leadership, where I mentioned that these words can also act like you can instigate a person to do something low, or motivate a person to move forward, or you can inspire a person to rise, evolve, attain the highest through words. Therefore, it is said that our Lord Vishnu, he sits on Garuda and he moves. Garuda represents words. Bhagwan comes in our heart sitting on words. The teacher, when he uses words, on those words, Bhagwan sits and enters our ears and our heart. It has such power. Therefore, goddess, goddess of wisdom is also called Vani, Saraswati, fair, wearing that white dress. And she is not holding any weapon, only the veena and the, japamala and Veda. So words play a very important role in our life. We are fed actually right from our childhood, we are fed with words. Our mother, our father, our relatives, friends, sister, brother, everyone feeds us with words. Good, bad, indifferent, words. If you just recollect your past, your childhood and all, you will remember a lot of words entering you. And those words follow us. Those words are our samskar. They are there within us and they guide us at every step. If they are good words, then they will be helpful. They guide us to evolve. But if there are some negative words inside, then they can really cause a lot of trouble to us. So words play a very important role, our action at the level of speech. And we have the ability to write down our words. That is a great ability. I speak and I can write it down and others can then read it and get that same words to them without me being there. And that is how we have this great wisdom of the past. Those past people have come and gone. We don't even know how they looked. Even the Rishi Munis, we keep making them with big beard and all, but really speaking, we don't know. We imagine they might not have that razor with them, so they must be having long beard. And there are some people who seem to have known them. They look at one picture and they are, "Ye Ved Vyas ji lagte hai." आपको कैसे पता नहीं ऐसे लगते हैं? Have you seen him? Nobody knows how he looked, but his words are now there with us. The Mahabharata, the Puranas, the Brahma Sutra. Even Bhagwan Krishna, we don't know how he used to look. No doubt the description is there, but his words are there. When we touch these words, we are touching Bhagwan Krishna. When we are listening to these words, we are listening to the words uttered by Bhagwan Sri Krishna. So it's the most powerful